Imagine holding something in your hand that was minted over 100 years ago, struck in pure gold, passed through the hands of merchants, soldiers, and strangers, survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and a presidential order that almost erased it from history forever. This is the 1909 Indian head half-eagle. A $5 gold piece. And today, on Coin Legacy, we're going to tell its complete story, from the artist who dared to break every rule of American coinage, to why this little coin is worth more than 1,000 times its face value today. Welcome back to Coin Legacy. I'm glad you're here. Let's go back to 1908. To understand this coin, you have to understand the man who demanded it. President Theodore Roosevelt was many things, a soldier, a naturalist, a statesman. But by 1905, he was also deeply embarrassed. Embarrassed by American money. He famously wrote that U.S. coins were the most artistically poor of any nation in the civilized world. Those are his words. And he meant them. He looked at the coins in his pocket, dull, lifeless, uninspired, and compared them to the glorious coins of ancient Greece, and he felt shame for his country. So Roosevelt did what Roosevelt always did. He acted. He commissioned one of the greatest sculptors in American history, Augustus Saint-Gaudens, to completely redesign American coinage from top to bottom. Together, they called it the Renaissance of American coinage. Saint-Gaudens worked on the famous double eagle, the $20 gold coin that many collectors still call the most beautiful coin ever made. But Saint-Gaudens passed away in 1907 before the full vision was complete. The torch was passed to his student, a sculptor named Bela Lyon Pratt. And Bela Lyon Pratt did something absolutely radical. Something no one had done on a circulating American coin, before or since. He pressed the design into the coin. Not raised above the surface. Sunken into it. Recessed. An ancient technique called Incuse design, borrowed from Egyptian art. Look at this coin. Look at that face, a Native American chief in full war bonnet, gazing left with quiet dignity. Liberty arched above him. 13 stars surrounding him. The year 1909 below. There is nothing else like it in American numismatic history. Design fact. The 1909 Indian head half-eagle is one of only 2 circulating U.S. coins ever struck with a fully incuse, recessed, design. The other is the Indian head quarter eagle, $2.50. Both were designed by Bela Lyon Pratt. Not everyone loved it. In fact, when these coins first appeared in 1908, the backlash was fierce. Traditional coin collectors and mint officials hated the incuse design. Their argument? The recessed areas would trap dirt and grease. They said the coin would be unhygienic. That it would look ugly within weeks of circulation. The chief engraver of the U.S. Mint himself, a man named Charles Barber, openly opposed the design. He wanted it killed before it ever reached the public. But Roosevelt had the last word. He pushed it through. And here is the great irony. The very feature the critics attacked, the incuse design, turned out to be one of the coin's greatest strengths. Because the design was recessed, it wore more gently than raised coins. The fine detail survived. The chief's feathers, the delicate lines of the headdress, the subtle shading of the face, they lasted. History proved Barber wrong. By 1909, the year on the coin you're looking at right now, the series was in its 2nd year of production. The public had largely embraced it. Numismatists were fascinated by it. And 3 different mint facilities were striking them, Philadelphia, Denver, and in a twist of history, New Orleans. Here is where it gets very interesting for collectors. In 1909, the Indian head half-eagle was struck at 4 mint facilities. Philadelphia, no mint mark. Denver, a D, San Francisco, an S. And New Orleans, an O. Most 1909 half-eagles are worth roughly $1,500 to $2,000 in average circulated condition. That is already remarkable for a coin that once bought a week's groceries. But the 1909, the New Orleans coin? That is an entirely different story. Because 1909 was the very last year the New Orleans Mint struck gold coins. It closed shortly after. Which means the 1909 Indian head half eagle is the final gold coin ever produced at the New Orleans Mint, full stop. End of an era, pressed in gold. In extremely fine condition, a 1909 can sell for $7,000 or more. In uncirculated condition, prices climb past $23,000. And gem quality examples? We're talking six figures. A PCGS MS-65 specimen is valued around $750,000. Now, the coin in today's video shows the initials BLP just above the date. That's Bela Lyon Pratt's signature. The artist signing his masterwork. A detail so small most people never notice it. But now you will. Value reference, approximate, always verify current market. This coin had already survived 24 years of circulation by the time the most dangerous moment in its history arrived. In 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the other Roosevelt, signed Executive Order 6102. It required American citizens to hand over their gold coins to the Federal Reserve. Gold was being hoarded, he said. The economy was in freefall. The country needed the metal. Millions of gold coins were melted down. Entire collections, family heirlooms, coins that had been in pockets and purses for decades, gone. Turned into bars of raw metal. The Indian head half eagle series ended. No more would ever be struck. The coins that survived did so because their owners, knowingly or not, held on to them. Kept them in drawers, in safe deposit boxes, tucked away and forgotten. Some were held by coin dealers and collectors who found legal exceptions. Some left the country entirely. Every pre-1933 gold coin you see today is a survivor of that order. And that survival makes them historically significant in a way that goes far beyond their gold content. They represent a world before paper money fully took over. When $5 meant something you could hold in your hand, dense and warm and real. So when you hold a 1909 Indian head half eagle, you're not just holding gold. You're holding Teddy Roosevelt's obsession. Bela Lyon Pratt's artistic courage. A design that critics tried to destroy and history vindicated. A piece of metal that outlasted the mint that made some of them, outlasted the currency system it belonged to, and outlasted every attempt to melt it into oblivion. It is 90% pure gold. It weighs 8.36 grams. It is 21.6 millimeters wide, barely larger than a modern nickel. And yet it carries more history per gram than almost anything else you could put in a display case. Whether your example is a Philadelphia strike worth $1,000, or you're one of the lucky few holding a genuine 1909, what you have is irreplaceable. These coins will never be made again. The era that produced them is gone. The mints that struck some of them are gone. All that remains is the coin itself. And it's gorgeous. If you want to see more deep dives like this, rare coins, forgotten history, the stories behind the metal, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week we go further down the rabbit hole. Drop your questions in the comments. I personally read every single one. And if you own a coin you'd like featured on Coin Legacy, reach out. We'd love to tell its story. Until next time, keep looking closely. The history is always right there, waiting in your hand.